of the quantum legacy. Dr. Sarah Chen stared through the reinforced viewport of Saturn Research Station's quantum lab, watching Titan's orange haze glow against the void of space. The methane seas below churned with alien storms, their patterns mesmerizing after 3 years of observation. But today, something was different. Dr. Chen, you need to see this. David Kumar, her quantum sensor specialist, called from his workstation. His voice carried the slight tremor she'd learned to recognize, the one that meant either breakthrough or disaster. Sarah pushed away from the viewport, letting the magnetic boots of her station suit guide her across the lab. The quantum detection array's holographic display pulsed with readings she'd never seen before. These patterns started emerging about 20 minutes ago, David explained, his fingers dancing across the haptic interface. At first, I thought it was equipment malfunction, but he pulled up a 3-dimensional visualization of the signal source. Sarah's breath caught. Nearly 2 kilometers beneath Titan's largest methane sea, something was generating perfectly structured quantum entanglement patterns. Natural quantum phenomena were chaotic, unpredictable. These were ordered, precise, impossible. Have you confirmed the calibration? She asked, though she already knew David would have checked. He nodded, bringing up diagnostic logs. 3 times. I even ran it through the backup array. Whatever this is, it's real. He paused, then added what they were both thinking. And it's not natural. Sarah's mind raced through possibilities. After the discovery of simple bacterial life on Europa 5 years ago, every outer solar system research station had dreamed of finding something more. But this was beyond anything they'd prepared for. Alert Director Morrison, she said, already moving to the quantum core interface, and get me a direct link to the deep-sea probes. If something down there is generating quantum signals, I want eyes on it. The next 12 hours transformed Saturn Research Station from a quiet scientific outpost into the center of humanity's greatest discovery. Director Morrison, initially skeptical, took one look at the quantum readings and triggered the first contact protocols they'd all memorized but never expected to use. The station's 3 deep-sea probes, designed to study Titan's unique chemistry, were redirected to the signal source. Sarah watched with growing anticipation as the first probe's lights illuminated the alien seabed. Contact in 3 minutes, David announced. The entire science team had gathered in the observation deck, their faces reflected in the curved windows overlooking Titan's surface. Even through layers of atmosphere, the moon's methane seas glimmered with otherworldly beauty. The probe's feed showed increasing structure in the sea topology. What had appeared random through satellite scanning revealed itself to be geometric, precise. Then, suddenly, it was there. "My God," Director Morrison whispered. A structure rose from the seabed, its surface covered in patterns that seemed to shift and flow despite being solid material. It was roughly cylindrical, perhaps 30 meters in height, but its most striking feature was the sphere of perfectly still methane surrounding it. A bubble of impossibility in Titan's restless seas. "Quantum readings are off the scale," David reported, his voice steady despite the magnitude of their discovery. "The patterns, they're not just random signals. This thing is generating targeted quantum entanglement fields. It's like it's trying to communicate." Sarah moved closer to the main display, studying the structure's intricate surface patterns. "Those markings," she said, "they're not decorative. Look at how they align with the quantum field emissions." She pulled up a side-by-side comparison. "They're circuit paths, or something similar. This entire structure is some kind of quantum device. But who built it? And why here?" Morrison asked, voicing the questions everyone was thinking. Before Sarah could respond, new alarms blared through the station. David's hands flew across his console. "The device, it's responding to our probe's presence. Quantum activity is increasing exponentially." The bubble of still methane around the structure began to pulse with soft light. Patterns on its surface shifted faster, forming new configurations they hadn't seen before. Sarah watched in amazement as the quantum readings synchronized with the visual changes. It's not just active, she realized, it's adapting. The quantum fields are reconfiguring to match our probe's scanning frequency. She turned to Morrison. Sir, I don't think this is just an artifact. It's functional. And I think it's waking up. The structure's response to their presence changed everything. What had been a momentous archaeological discovery became something far more significant: humanity's first contact with active alien technology. As Sarah coordinated with her team to establish more sophisticated scanning protocols, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Dr. Chen, David called out, his voice tight with excitement. I'm detecting new quantum signature types. They're organizing themselves into regular patterns, almost like what? Like data transmission. Sarah's heart raced as she studied the new readings. The quantum patterns were indeed structured, carrying information in ways that defied their current understanding of quantum mechanics. But there was something familiar about them, something that tugged at her memory. Cross-reference these patterns with our quantum computing research archives, she ordered. David's fingers flew across his console, and moments later, his sharp intake of breath confirmed her suspicion. There's a correlation, he announced. These patterns, they're similar to theoretical models we've been working on for quantum data storage. But the complexity, the efficiency, it's centuries beyond our current capabilities. Sarah stared at the alien structure through the probe's feed, its surface still shifting with impossible precision. They left this here for us to find, she said softly. This isn't just technology, it's a message. And we're finally advanced enough to start reading it. As the station buzzed with activity around her, Sarah felt the weight of history settling on their shoulders. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for centuries, imagining dramatic meetings between species. Instead, they'd found this, a quantum beacon waiting patiently in the depths of an alien sea, ready to share its secrets with those who had learned enough to understand them. The question was, were they ready for what those secrets might reveal? Director Morrison approached her workstation, his expression grave. The UN Security Council is convening an emergency session. Every major space agency and quantum research facility is being notified. He paused, studying the shifting patterns on their main display. They're asking for your preliminary assessment. What exactly are we dealing with here, Dr. Chen? Sarah considered the question carefully, watching as new quantum patterns emerged from their interaction with the device. This isn't just a technological artifact, sir. Based on these readings, I believe it's a quantum knowledge repository. An alien library, essentially. But it's not passive storage. It's actively scanning our technology, adjusting its output to match our current scientific understanding. You're saying it's teaching us. More like meeting us halfway. The quantum mechanics involved are far beyond our current capabilities, but the basic principles align with theoretical work we've already done. It's as if, she paused, searching for the right words, as if it was designed to be discovered at exactly this point in our technological development. Morrison's expression darkened. That's a disturbing thought, Doctor. It suggests they've been watching us, waiting for us to reach a certain level of advancement. Or they understood technological evolution well enough to predict when we'd be ready. Sarah countered. Either way, we need to focus on decoding these transmissions. Something tells me time might be a factor. As if in response to her words, the quantum beacon's emissions intensified, its patterns growing more complex. On her display, Sarah watched as new layers of data began to unfold, each one revealing glimpses of understanding that both thrilled and terrified her. They were about to learn exactly why an advanced civilization had left this gift in the depths of Titan, and Sarah had a feeling the answer would change humanity forever. The quantum beacon pulsed steadily in the alien sea, waiting to share its secrets with a species that had finally learned to ask the right questions. Sarah Chen and her team stood at the threshold of humanity's greatest discovery, not yet knowing that they were also racing against a clock they couldn't see, counting down to a moment that would test not just their understanding of alien science, but their ability to survive its implications. The signal from Titan was just the beginning. The real challenge lay in what came next. Of the quantum legacy. 3 weeks of non-stop analysis had transformed Saturn Research Station's quantum lab into a maze of holographic displays and humming equipment. Dr. Sarah Chen hadn't slept properly in days, sustained by a combination of synthetic caffeine and the pure adrenaline of discovery. "Running simulation sequence 47, David announced, his own eyes rimmed with exhaustion. The quantum beacon's replica hovered in the center of their main holotank, its intricate patterns now familiar, but no less mysterious. Sarah watched as their latest attempt to decode the alien quantum signatures played out. Each simulation brought them closer to understanding, but also revealed new layers of complexity they hadn't anticipated. The device wasn't just storing data, it was alive with it, responding to their probes in ways that defied conventional quantum mechanics. "Stop," she called out suddenly, noticing something in the data stream. "Go back to timestamp 2347. The hologram reversed, freezing on a particular pattern configuration. "There, that sequence. It's similar to our quantum encryption protocols, but it's using dimensional states we didn't know existed," finished Dr. Yuki Tanaka, their quantum theorist. She'd arrived from Earth's Quantum Research Institute 2 weeks ago and had been instrumental in understanding the alien mathematics. They're not just using quantum superposition, they're manipulating the very fabric of space-time to store and transmit data. Before Sarah could respond, alarms blared through the station. Red warning lights flashed across their displays as the quantum readings from Titan spiked dramatically. Energy surge in the beacon. David's fingers flew across his console. It's generating new field patterns, nothing like we've seen before. Through the observation window, Sarah watched as a visible distortion appeared in Titan's atmosphere above the beacon's location. The methane sea around it began to churn, its usually orange surface taking on an otherworldly glow. "All probes, full spectrum analysis," she ordered, moving to the main quantum interface. "Whatever's happening down there, I want every piece of data we can get." The next few minutes were chaos as readings poured in. The beacon's quantum signatures had evolved beyond their ability to track, creating ripples in space-time itself. Then, as suddenly as it began, the surge stabilized into a new pattern. "Dr. Chen," Yuki called out, her voice tight with excitement. "Look at this." She projected a new analysis onto the main display. The beacon isn't just transmitting data anymore. It's creating a quantum bridge. Sarah studied the readings, her mind racing to process the implications. The alien device had responded to their attempts to understand it by opening a new level of communication. But as she delved deeper into the data, a chill ran down her spine. "These patterns," she muttered, "they're not random. They're coordinated, purposeful." She pulled up their archive of Earth's quantum research history. "Look, they matched the exact progression of our quantum computing development. It's like the beacon was waiting for us to reach this specific point." "Why?" Director Morrison asked, having arrived during the commotion. "Why wait for this moment?" Before anyone could answer, David's console erupted with new alerts. "Multiple ships entering Saturn space," he announced. "Chinese quantum research vessel Yinglong, Russian Federation ship Volkov, and 3 unidentified vessels on rapid approach." Sarah's heart sank. They'd known they couldn't keep their discovery secret forever, but she'd hoped for more time. The UN's attempt to classify the beacon as a Heritage of Humanity site had bought them weeks, but now... "Sir," she turned to Morrison, "we need to act now. The beacon is offering us access to its full database, but I don't think this window will stay open long." Morrison's face was grim. "The UN committee is still debating protocols. If we act without authorization, then we risk losing humanity's greatest discovery to political gridlock." Sarah finished. She gestured to the approaching ships on their tactical display. "Those vessels aren't coming to observe, sir. They're coming to claim the beacon for themselves." The director studied the tactical readout for a long moment, then straightened. "What do you need, Doctor?" "Authorization to attempt full quantum synchronization," she said immediately. "We've been tiptoeing around the edges of the beacon's capabilities, but it's time to dive in. Yuki's models suggest we can establish a stable quantum link if we reconfigure our core to match the beacon's resonance patterns. The risks are nothing compared to what we'll lose if we do nothing," Sarah insisted. She projected a simulation of their proposed synchronization. "We've proven our containment systems can handle the quantum fluctuations. We just need to scale them up." Morrison looked around the lab at the determined faces of Sarah's team, then back to the tactical display showing the approaching vessels. "Do it," he said finally. "But Sarah, be careful. Something about this feels too convenient." Sarah nodded, already moving to the quantum core interface. "David, begin power-up sequence. Yuki, I need those resonance calculations. Let's see what secrets our alien friends left for us." The next hour was a blur of precise adjustments and tense monitoring as they prepared their systems for full synchronization. The approaching ships grew closer on their displays, but Sarah forced herself to focus on the task at hand. "Quantum core at 90%, David reported. "Resonance patterns aligning." "Wait." His voice sharpened. "The beacon. It's changing its output again." Sarah watched in amazement as new patterns emerged in their holographic model. The alien device wasn't just accepting their attempt at synchronization. It was actively guiding it, adjusting its own quantum fields to create a perfect match. "It's beautiful," Yuki whispered, watching the quantum patterns dance. "They understood us so well, knew exactly how to lead us to this point." Warning klaxons interrupted her wonder. "Multiple quantum surges detected," David shouted. "The beacon's power output is increasing exponentially." Sarah's fingers flew across her console, trying to stabilize the connection. The quantum patterns were shifting faster now, becoming more complex, more urgent. Through the observation window, she could see Titan's atmosphere rippling with visible distortions. "Should we abort?" Morrison asked, gripping the back of her chair. Sarah studied the readings, her mind racing. The patterns weren't random. They were organized, structured, like chapters in a book, waiting to be read. "No," she decided. "This is what it was designed for. We just need to." The quantum core pulsed with blinding light as synchronization completed. For a moment, Sarah felt a sensation like reality itself was holding its breath. Then the data began to flow. It came not in bits and bytes, but in pure quantum states, each one containing more information than their largest supercomputers could process. The alien archive opened before them, a library of knowledge that spanned dimensions they hadn't known existed. "My God," Yuki breathed, watching as the first translations appeared on their screens. "This isn't just scientific data. It's everything. Their history, their technology, their understanding of the universe itself." But as the information poured in, Sarah noticed something else. Hidden beneath the technical data and historical records was a pattern she recognized, a warning, repeated over and over in the quantum signature itself. "There's something else here," she said, her voice tight. "Something they wanted us to find specifically." She isolated the pattern, began the decryption process. Something urgent. The warning decoded itself just as their tactical display lit up with new alerts. The approaching ships had arrived, taking up positions around the station. But Sarah barely noticed. Her attention was fixed on the message now displayed on her screen, its implications sending a chill through her very soul. They hadn't been given this knowledge as a gift. They'd been given it as a survival manual. And time, she realized with growing horror, was running out. The quantum archive had opened its doors, but what lay within was far more terrifying than anyone had imagined. Humanity's greatest discovery was about to become its greatest challenge, and Sarah Chen stood at the center of it all, racing against a clock that had started ticking long before she was born. Of the quantum legacy. "Show me the wave propagation models again," Dr. Sarah Chen demanded. her voice hoarse from hours of non-stop analysis. The holographic display flickered, revealing a three-dimensional map of the solar system overlaid with quantum probability patterns. The image was beautiful and terrifying. A massive quantum disturbance moving through space like a tsunami through water, distorting the very fabric of reality in its wake. According to the Alien Archive's data, it would reach their solar system in less than 8 months. Latest calculations confirm the archive's predictions. Dr. Yuki Tanaka reported, her usual calm demeanor strained. The wave's leading edge will hit Pluto first. When it does, she pulled up the simulation they'd all watched dozens of times but couldn't quite believe. The visualization showed Pluto's quantum structure destabilizing as the wave passed through it. Matter itself began to break down at the subatomic level, transformed by forces they barely understood. The process wasn't destructive in the conventional sense. It was worse. It rewrote the fundamental laws that held matter together. How much of this have you shared with the UN Security Council? Director Morrison asked from the doorway. He looked older than he had a week ago, when they'd first decoded the archive's warning. Sarah gestured to the data streams flowing across their screens. Everything we can verify. The quantum wave is real. We can detect its effects now that we know what to look for. Long-range quantum telescopes are already picking up disturbances in the Kuiper belt. And the defense system, the one described in the archive. That's complicated. Sarah brought up new schematics, showing intricate patterns of quantum circuitry that defied conventional physics. The aliens left us blueprints, but they're incomplete. It's like they gave us a quantum mechanics textbook written in a language we're still learning to read. Before Morrison could respond, alarms blared through the station. David's hands flew across his console. Quantum surge from the Chinese vessel. They're trying to force synchronization with the beacon. Sarah watched in horror as new readings appeared on their displays. The Yinglong had activated some kind of quantum resonance device, attempting to establish their own connection to the alien archive. They'll destabilize the entire quantum field. Yuki shouted, already running calculations. Our link is delicate enough. If they disrupt it. The station shuddered as reality itself seemed to hiccup. Through the observation window, Sarah watched as visible distortions rippled through Titan's atmosphere. The methane sea around the beacon began to boil. Shut down the quantum core, Morrison ordered. Before they... We can't. Sarah interrupted, her fingers dancing across her interface. The data transfer isn't complete. If we lose the connection now, we lose everything. She pulled up new readings, showing the cascade of quantum effects spreading from the beacon. But maybe. She didn't finish her thought, too focused on the adjustments she was making to their quantum field generators. Years of theoretical work and 3 weeks of practical experience with alien quantum technology had taught her one crucial lesson. Quantum fields could be harmonized. Yuki, help me modify the containment protocols. Instead of fighting their interference, we're going to sync with it. Understanding dawned in the quantum theorist's eyes. Like a quantum orchestra, she said, already moving to help. If we can't maintain a solo performance, we make it a duet, Sarah finished. Her modifications complete, she took a deep breath. Initiating field adjustment in 3, 2, 1. The station's quantum generators pulsed, their output shifting to match the resonance patterns from the Chinese vessel. For a moment, the disruptions seemed to worsen, reality flickering like a bad transmission. Then, suddenly, everything stabilized. It's working, David reported, wonder in his voice. The quantum fields they're synchronizing. Both connections are stable. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Contact the Yinglong, she told Morrison. Tell them we're willing to share what we've learned, because we're going to need everyone's help to survive what's coming. The next few hours were a blur of diplomatic negotiations and technical coordination. The Russian vessel Volkov joined their quantum network next, followed by research ships from India and Brazil. Each connection required careful adjustment, But with each successful synchronization, their understanding of the alien quantum technology grew. "Look at this," Yuki called out, projecting new analysis onto the main display. "Each time we add another quantum core to the network, the efficiency of our data processing increases exponentially. It's not just about raw power. The network itself is evolving, becoming more complex." Sarah studied the patterns, recognition dawning. "Just like the defense system in the blueprints," she breathed. "It's not meant to be built by a single facility or nation. It has to be a global network, quantum cores working in harmony." Her thoughts were interrupted by a new alarm, different from the others. David's face went pale as he checked the readings. "Dr. Chen, long-range quantum sensors just detected something. The wave, it's accelerating." The main display updated, showing new projections. Sarah felt her heart skip as she read the numbers. 8 months just became 5, she announced, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. "Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it faster." Morrison stepped forward, studying the display. "I'll inform the Security Council. But Dr. Chen, even with international cooperation, can we build this defense system in time?" Sarah looked around the lab at her team, at the representatives from other nations who had joined their effort. In their faces, she saw the same determination that burned in her own heart. "The aliens didn't just leave us blueprints," she said. "They left us a challenge. Everything about this, the beacon's location, its adaptive quantum systems, even the incomplete nature of the plans, it was all designed to force us to innovate, to think beyond simple replication." She brought up the defense system schematics again, but this time overlaid them with their own quantum network data. "We're not going to build their defense system," she declared. "We're going to build something better, something that combines their quantum mastery with human ingenuity." "Is that even possible?" someone asked. Sarah's answer was interrupted by new readings from their quantum sensors. The beacon had responded to their synchronized network by releasing a new stream of data, information they hadn't been able to access before. "Look at this," Yuki breathed, analyzing the incoming data. "These aren't just technical specifications. They're research notes, records of their own attempts to stop the wave." Sarah felt a chill as she read the translations. The alien civilization hadn't just left them mourning. They'd left them a record of their own failures, their own attempts to combat the quantum wave. Each failed strategy, each unsuccessful approach, documented in perfect detail. They didn't want us to repeat their mistakes, she realized. They wanted us to learn from them, to find solutions they couldn't see. The quantum wave continued its relentless approach, warping space and time in its wake. But as Sarah looked at the impossible task ahead of them, she felt something else growing alongside her fear. Hope, because in those alien records of failure, she saw opportunities for human innovation. The breaking point wasn't just about the wave that threatened to unmake their world. It was about breaking through the limitations of their own thinking, about shattering the boundaries between human and alien technology to forge something entirely new. They had 5 months to save humanity. It was time to start breaking some rules of physics, of the quantum legacy. The transformed cargo bay of Saturn Research Station hummed with energy as quantum cores from 6 different nations worked in synchronization. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the prototype defense node, its hybrid architecture a testament to what could be accomplished when human innovation met alien technology. "Power fluctuation in Core 3, David reported from his station. The holographic displays showed the quantum network's status, a complex dance of energy and information that stretched from their station near Titan all the way back to Earth. "Compensating," Dr. Yuki Tanaka responded, her fingers moving across her console with practiced precision. The network stabilized, but Sarah noticed the strained lines around Yuki's eyes. They were all pushing themselves to the limit, aware that every second counted. 3 months had passed since they'd decoded the archive's warning. 3 months of non-stop work, breakthrough moments, and devastating setbacks. The prototype before them represented their 15th attempt at creating a functional defense node. and their first real hope of success. Beginning test sequence, Sarah announced, activating the initialization protocols. The node's quantum field generators spun up, creating visible distortions in the air around it. David, monitor field stability. Yuki, watch for any anomalous resonance patterns. The prototype was beautiful in its own way, she thought. Where the alien blueprints had called for crystalline structures of impossible purity, they'd created a hybrid system using Earth-manufactured quantum processors arranged in patterns inspired by natural phenomena. Fibonacci spirals of superconducting wire wound through metamaterial lattices, while plasma containment fields pulsed in rhythm with the quantum cores. Field strength at 30%, David called out. All patterns holding steady. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Their previous attempts had failed at this point, the quantum fields collapsing under their own complexity. But this time, 50%, David continued. Quantum coherence maintaining. 60%. A new alarm blared through the bay. Sarah's heart sank as she saw red warnings flash across their displays. "Talk to me," she demanded. "What's happening?" "Resonance cascade in the primary core," Yuki reported, her hands flying across her controls. "The quantum fields are—" "Wait." She paused, studying the readings more closely. "This isn't a failure. The fields aren't collapsing. They're evolving." Sarah rushed to Yuki's station, examining the data herself. The quantum patterns were indeed changing, but not in the chaotic way they'd seen in previous failures. These changes were structured, purposeful. "Look at these formations," she breathed, understanding dawning. "They're like quantum antibodies. The system isn't just maintaining stability. It's learning to adapt." 70% power, David announced, excitement creeping into his voice. Field strength still increasing, 80%. Dr. James Morrison entered the bay at a run, followed by representatives from the other nations' research teams. "We detected the power spike from the command center," he said. "Is it working?" "Better than working," Sarah replied, not taking her eyes off the readings. "We did it. We actually did it." She gestured to the displays showing the quantum field patterns. "The hybrid architecture isn't just stable, it's superior to the original alien design." 90%, David called out. Field coherence at optimal levels. 95%. The prototype hummed with power, its quantum fields now visible to the naked eye as sheets of ghostly light that rippled and flowed around it. Sarah felt tears in her eyes as she watched their creation perform beyond their wildest hopes. 100% power. David's voice cracked with emotion. All systems nominal. The node is fully operational. The bay erupted in cheers and embraces as 3 months of desperate work finally paid off. Sarah felt arms around her and turned to find Yuki hugging her tightly, both of them laughing through tears of relief and exhaustion. But their celebration was short-lived. A priority alert from Earth Command cut through the moment like a knife. Sarah's blood ran cold as she read the message. "The wave," she announced, her voice carrying through the sudden silence. "It's accelerating again. New estimates put it reaching our solar system in just over a month." The mood in the bay shifted instantly from jubilation to grim determination. They had proved their design worked, but that was only the first step. Now they had to scale it up. Way up. "How many nodes will we need?" Morrison asked, already thinking ahead to the logistics. Sarah brought up their latest models of the quantum wave. Based on these readings, at least 30 major nodes in a distributed network around the solar system. Each one will need to be at least twice the size of this prototype. "That's impossible," one of the Chinese scientists protested. "Even with all our facilities working at maximum capacity." "We don't have a choice," Sarah cut him off, her voice firm. "Either we find a way to do the impossible, or we watch reality itself unravel around us." She turned to address the entire team. "We've already done what everyone said couldn't be done. We took alien quantum technology that was centuries beyond our understanding and improved on it. Now we just have to do it again. Faster." The material requirements alone, someone began, are already being addressed. Morrison interrupted. He activated the main display, showing feeds from around the solar system. Every major manufacturing facility from Earth to Mars has been converted to produce quantum processors and metamaterials. Space agencies are repurposing satellites and stations into construction platforms. This is now humanity's single highest priority. Sarah studied the feeds, hope warring with anxiety in her chest. The scope of what they were attempting was staggering. The largest construction project in human history, spread across the entire solar system, all while racing against a deadline that offered no extension. "Dr. Chen," a voice called out. She turned to find Dr. Wei from the Chinese team, studying their prototype's design specifications. "These quantum field configurations, they're based on Earth's atmospheric patterns, aren't they?" Sarah nodded. "And ocean currents, weather systems, even biological processes. We found that natural systems on Earth had already solved many of the stability problems we were facing. Once we started incorporating those patterns, the system began to self-organize," Wei finished, understanding dawning in his eyes. "Like a living thing." "Exactly." Sarah brought up new schematics, showing her latest modifications to the design. "And I think we can push that principle further, if we adjust the quantum architecture to mimic neural networks." The next few hours were a blur of collaborative innovation as teams from every nation contributed ideas and refinements. The prototype's success had proved their approach worked. Now they were finding ways to make it work better, faster, more efficiently. But even as they worked, Sarah couldn't shake the image of that quantum wave approaching their solar system, warping and twisting reality in its wake. They had created something remarkable, something that merged the best of human and alien technology. But would it be enough? And could they build it in time? The answer to those questions would determine not just their fate, but the fate of every living thing in the solar system. The human factor had given them a chance. Now they had to make that chance count. The quantum legacy. Pluto defense node coming online. David's voice rang through Saturn Research Station's transformed command center. On the massive holographic display dominating the room, another point of light joined the network of quantum nodes spread across the solar system. Dr. Sarah Chen watched the network patterns shift and adapt, marveling at how far they'd come in just 1 month. 37 defense nodes now orbited strategic points from the Kuiper Belt to Mercury's orbit, each one a triumph of human engineering and alien science. Their quantum fields rippled through space, creating a web of protection unlike anything humanity had imagined possible just months ago. Final diagnostics from Mars cluster complete, Dr. Yuki Tanaka reported from her station. All nodes responding to network commands. Field synchronization at optimal levels. Sarah nodded, but her attention was fixed on another set of readings, the ones tracking the approaching quantum wave. It had accelerated again in the past week, defying their predictions. Now it was less than 48 hours from reaching Pluto. "Status report," Director Morrison demanded, striding into the command center. He'd aged years in the past months, but his voice was steady. "The network is ready," Sarah replied, bringing up detailed diagnostics. "Each node is performing better than our projections, and the distributed quantum field is stable." She paused, then added, "But there's something else you need to see." She pulled up new data from their long-range quantum sensors. The wave's leading edge was more visible now, a distortion in space-time that bent light itself. But it was the pattern analysis that worried her. "The wave is adapting," she explained. "Its quantum structure is becoming more complex as it approaches our solar system, almost as if it's responding to our defenses," Yuki finished, joining them at the main display. "The archive warned us this might happen, but seeing it..." Their discussion was interrupted by a priority alert. Chinese Defense Command reporting unusual readings from their lunar nodes, David announced. "The quantum fields are showing spontaneous pattern changes." Sarah moved to her console, examining the data. The network's quantum fields were indeed shifting, but not randomly. "They're anticipating," she breathed, understanding dawning. "The network isn't just responding to our commands anymore. It's evolving on its own. Like antibodies adapting to a virus," Dr. Wei added from his station. The Chinese quantum physicist had become an integral part of their team over the past month. The natural patterns we incorporated into the design, they're doing exactly what we hoped. The system is learning. A new alarm cut through the air. "Wave acceleration detected." David's voice was tight. "New trajectory calculations. Impact with Pluto in 18 hours." The command center erupted into controlled chaos as teams worldwide coordinated their responses. Sarah felt time compress around her, every second precious as they made final adjustments to their defenses. "Dr. Chen," Morrison said quietly, drawing her aside. "The UN Security Council is asking for your assessment. What are our chances?" Sarah studied the displays showing humanity's greatest achievement, a network of hybrid quantum technology that merged human innovation with alien science. In those ghostly patterns of energy and light, she saw not just technical brilliance, but the spirit of cooperation that had made it possible. "The wave is stronger than we predicted," she admitted. "But so are we." She gestured to the network display. "We didn't just copy the alien designs. We improved them, made them our own. And now the network is showing capabilities we didn't even program into it." Meaning we've created something new, something that can adapt and evolve in ways the original alien defense never could. She met his eyes. "We have a chance, a real one." The next 16 hours were a blur of preparations and adjustments as the wave drew closer. Sarah worked with teams across the solar system, fine-tuning the quantum network's responses, watching as it continued to evolve new defense patterns. "Pluto orbit interface in 20 minutes, David announced. The command center had grown crowded as representatives from every major space agency gathered to witness humanity's first stand against the quantum wave. Sarah stood before the main display, watching the waves approach. Its leading edge was clearly visible now, a curtain of distorted space-time that bent light into impossible patterns. Behind her, she heard someone whisper a prayer. "Network status," she called out. "All nodes responding," Yuki reported. "Quantum field integrity at 115%. The system is actually getting stronger as the wave approaches." 10 minutes to interface. David's voice was steady. Wave characteristics unchanged. "Wait." He paused, checking his readings. "The wave, it's changing course." Sarah rushed to his station, examining the data herself. The quantum wave was indeed altering its trajectory, trying to find a weak point in their defenses. But the network was responding, quantum fields shifting to strengthen potential breach points before they could form. 5 minutes. Sarah returned to the main display, watching as the wave reached the orbit of Pluto. This was it, the moment that would determine whether humanity's greatest achievement was enough to save them. Wave contact in 3, 2, 1. Reality seemed to hold its breath as the quantum wave struck their defenses. The network's quantum fields flared with impossible brightness as they engaged the force that had destroyed countless civilizations before them. "Field integrity holding," Yuki shouted over the blare of alerts. "The wave, it's being contained." But Sarah saw something else in the readings, something remarkable. "Not just contained," she breathed. "Look at the pattern analysis. The network isn't just blocking the wave, it's unmaking it, breaking it down into harmless quantum fluctuations." The command center watched in awe as their creation did what its alien predecessor could not. The quantum wave, that unstoppable force of cosmic destruction, began to dissipate against their defenses. Hours later, as celebration erupted across Earth and its colonies, Sarah stood alone in the quantum lab where it had all begun. The holographic display still showed the network's quantum patterns, now calmer but no less beautiful. "Ready to make history again?" Yuki asked, joining her at the display. Sarah smiled, understanding her meaning. The network had done more than save them. It had proven that humanity could take its place among the stars. The alien archive had given them a warning, but they had turned it into an opportunity. The quantum wave was never just a threat, she said, watching the network's patterns shift and flow. It was a test, and we just passed it. Above them, the hybrid quantum network continued its vigilant watch, a testament to what humanity could achieve when it reached for the stars not as competing nations, but as one species facing the universe together. They had faced their event horizon, that point of no return, and emerged stronger. Whatever waited for them among the stars, they would face it the same way, with human ingenuity, cooperation, and the courage to improve upon even the most advanced alien technology. The real journey was just beginning.